So here's a few examples of the ionizing nature of ionizing radiation. It's called radiation because it's emitted from some source, and it's called ionizing radiation because it's radiation that makes ions. So here I've got a sealed source, a lump of plutonium, and if I place it over this spark gap detector, we can see there are sparks that are emitted. That's an alpha source I've just placed over there. And what is this spark gap detector? Well, essentially, it's a metal grid at the top, a grill, and underneath there's a metal bar, which you can just about see through that grill. And if we connect that to a high voltage power supply with about 5,000 volts across it, then ionizing radiation particles can cause the air between those two grills, the grill and the metal at the bottom, there's two electrodes, it can cause the air to ionize, which means that there are charges, free charges that can move. Those free charges that can move then accelerate between that potential difference. As they accelerate, they're going to bump into and excite other atoms of air, and that's going to cause them to get so hot that they glow. That's what we see, that's what the spark is, and that's what the cracking noise is as the charged particles eventually move across to the electrode and discharge. Here I have a gold leaf electroscope, which is a thin sheet of gold attached to this metal spindle down the middle, and that's all electrically connected to this plate at the top, but electrically insulated from the rest of this container. Now, I've connected the outside, the case, to the positive terminal of my high voltage power supply. And what I'm going to do, to switch that on, is I'm going to charge up the plate and the bit in the middle. You see it's probably a bit too high a voltage there because it rather sparked. But anyway, that's now indicating that there is a charge stored inside this metal plate. And because it's connected to the 0 volts terminal, that should be a negative charge that's on this plate at the top and on this spindle down the middle and on the gold leaf. So now what I can do is I can discharge this gold leaf electroscope. Right now you'll see that the gold leaf is not moving, not at all. There's the gold leaf there, and it's not moving at all. But if I take a radiation source, for example, a source of gamma radiation, in this case it is radium, which decays into radon gas, but this radium source is a gamma source as well. And if I place it here over near the metal, can you see how it is discharging the electroscope? It's discharging the electroscope because the air is becoming ionized around here, which is allowing the charge to conduct away. It's essentially discharging through conduction. And you can do that in a few ways. I could put a lighted match above it here and show the same effect. So here we go, a lighted match, a gold leaf electroscope, which is showing it's charged, and boof, like that. So putting some free charge carriers around here, which we get with the plasma, which is in the flame, or around the flame, we end up getting the charge being able to be conducted away, and we could do the same thing by ionizing the air with our ionizing radiation sources. Now, because these radiation sources do have the potential to be dangerous, we have to store them carefully. There's a record we have to keep of whenever we use them, who they're used with, and so on. They have to be visually inspected every time, and we have to do annual inspections and contamination checks, that sort of thing. We keep them in this safe, which is bolted to the wall and to the floor. A big stainless steel or steel case, I think it is. It meets the requirements. But a careful label there, and there are only 2 keys to this safe. And I have one of them, and the other one is kept by our physics technician. Alpha, beta, and gamma are not the only 3 ionizing radiation types. There's also neutron radiation, X-rays are ionizing, and the very high energy ultraviolet is also ionizing, weakly ionizing. So things like this, the UVC wand, which you might want to buy off Amazon very cheaply, which can be used for sterilization, although I'm not sure how effective it is. Things like this, you actually have to be quite careful of, because the UVC light that they emit, if you look directly into it, they can cause damage to your eyes. And that's because of ionization.